Hey guys, welcome back to another video in the series of videos to create and set up a character in your Unreal Engine project. So in this video I will show you how you can create a modular clothing system for your character. So basically in this video you will learn how you can import the clothing assets from the Daz Studio, and then you will then be able to apply those clothing assets onto your character, and those clothing assets will also work seamlessly along with the animations which we have set up in the first part of this video. So if you haven't watched the first part yet, then I would advise you to do so, because in that part you will learn how to create the character from scratch. I will be continuing from that code example. So the first thing that I will do over here is I will import the clothing assets from the Daz Studio, and to do that I will export this preloaded character and its clothing assets from the Daz Studio like I did in the first part. So let's just name the FBX file as character, and I have already explained the meaning of most of these options in the first part. So yep, just take a look at the first part of this video to know about the options which need to be selected when we are exporting the character from Daz Studio to be later imported into the Unreal Engine. But before we do that, first we need to separate the clothing assets from the main character itself, and for that I'm going to use Visual Studio. So I will open up the character FBX file, and I will simply remove the things or all of the different clothing assets and the character body asset, and then I will save them separately. So let's just first create a folder for it, and just let's name it outfit1. So outfit, a single outfit will resemble the group of different clothing assets. Let's name it outfit1 dash shirt. Now I'm just going to open the character FBX file again to save the other assets too. Alright, so this is the last one. I'm only going to use 3 assets at a time to create a group of clothing assets to resemble an outfit. So let's just name it outfit1 dash pants. Alright, now the next thing which I will do is I will create a folder in this Unreal Engine project, and let's just name it clothing, and then let's create another folder. Let's name it outfit1, and then I will import all of those clothing assets which I have just saved from Visual Studio. Let's select the skeleton as the character skeleton which we are using, which is imported from Daz Studio, and then let's import everything. After the import is finished, the next thing which we need to do is we need to set up the blueprints for applying the clothing assets onto the character. But before that I will run this project to show you how we are going to do that. So this is the setup or the example from the first video, and what will happen is whenever I will press the E key, then a menu will open up. I will show you this menu in a little while. There are 3 buttons on this menu for applying 2 different outfits, and then this close will simply close this dialog or this menu. So I'm going to show you this this menu and its buttons. It's pretty simple. These are just normal buttons. The close one will simply close this dialog by removing it from the game view. These 2 buttons for applying the outfits are not doing anything, so we will have to add the click event for these. So whenever the buttons will be clicked, then an outfit should be applied, and For that to happen, I'm going to create a function in the player characters blueprint. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to add a function and let's just name it apply outfit, and we will call this function from the buttons, the apply outfit buttons, and we will also need an input parameter which will be the outfit name, and this needs to be a string. Okay, so right now this function is not doing anything, but we can still call it. And to do that, first we'll need to get the reference of the player character, and then let's cast it to third person character. Let's convert it to a pure cast, and then we can call the apply outfit function when the button is clicked, and similar code can be copy and pasted for the apply outfit to button 2, but let's do that later. First let's set up the function, and let's also supply the name of the outfit, which is outfit1, like we named the folder. After this, I'm going to open up the character blueprint again, and then let's go to the viewport. Now to apply the clothing items or the clothing assets onto the character, we also need separate meshes. So I'm going to add those meshes as a child or as children to this parent mesh, and the first one is going to be named as let's name it clothing item 1. Let's just not name it for any specific clothing item. Similarly, we can add more ones, clothing item 2, and the last one, which is clothing item 3. And apart from this, we also need to do something so that these skeleton meshes for the clothing items will inherit or will be using the same animation which the character is using. And to do that, we need to do something else. First we need to get the reference of these 3 clothing items, and then we will also need the reference to the self, and then let's extract the mesh, this one, and then from these clothing items skeleton meshes, we need to call a function which is set master pose component. So what this function will do is it will apply the same pose which has been applied for this character mesh onto these clothing item skeleton meshes too. So this is what it will do, and let's do this for the remaining clothing item meshes too. And right now it's kind of messy, but we can just arrange them later. That's not really important at this point. Alright, so I have added this piece of code or this blueprint in the constructor script, so that whenever the player character will be created, then these pose components for these clothing items skeleton meshes is going to be set. Now to be able to use the function which is apply outfit, we need to set up some more stuff. The first thing which I will do is I will create a blueprint which is for a structure, and let's just call it bps underscore clothing items. Now this structure is important for our code because we will not be hard coding the names of the clothing assets so that we can apply them onto the character. We will be using some kind of a system to do that. So let's just add the properties to this structure, and this needs to be of the type skeleton mesh component. I guess it should be an object reference if I'm not wrong. Clothing item 1, clothing item 2, and then another variable, clothing item 3. Okay, and then I will create a dictionary property or a dictionary variable in the third person character blueprint, and let's just name it, I guess, you know what, let's just name it clothing map. Now to convert this into a dictionary, first we need to change its type to string, and then let's convert the type to a map. Then this integer needs to be changed to you know what, not a skeleton mesh, actually needs to be bps underscore clothing items. Okay, alright, so this is done. Oh, and I forgot to rename the name of the argument for this apply outfit function, and let's just name it to, I guess, okay, that's strange. Let's just name it to item name. Okay, it's working. I don't know, maybe name is not a valid argument name to use. Anyways, whenever this function will be called, this apply outfit function, then we will get the name of the outfit which needs to be applied onto the character. Now what I will do here is I will drag this clothing map over here to get its reference, and then I will call its find function, and then the name of the item to find or the key to find is going to be supplied from the argument when it is going to be called. And then let's just break this structure into individual items, and then we can get the reference of these skeleton meshes for the clothing items too, and then we can call the function set skeleton mesh, which will be called from this this root or this entry point of this function apply outfit. Now this set skeleton mesh function is going to set the new mesh to be used for all of these clothing items, and I can simply copy and paste it to be used for all of these clothing items. Now the new mesh is going to become from this structure. So this node is not compatible with the node of the set skeleton mesh. I guess I need to take a look at the structure again. Let's see, skeletal. Okay, I guess I made a mistake over here. The type should be skeletal mesh, I'm sorry, object reference, and instead of skeletal mesh component object reference. Let's just save it and then let's try again. Okay, this time it's working. So we have compiled and saved, and this code should work, but not yet because we have not filled or we have not populated this clothing map dictionary with the clothing assets. We just imported from Daz Studio, and I'm going to do this in the level blueprint itself. So I'm going to create a function first, and let's just call it create clothing map, and then in this function the first thing which I will do is I will get the reference of the player character, and then let's just cast it to third person BP character which we are using, convert it to pure cast, and then we will need to access the you know what, actually get clothing map. All right, and then I will call its add function let's just take it to here so that you guys can see it. Now let's just provide the name of the key, which is going to be the name of the outfit, and the value for the clothing item structure is going to be supplied from over here. Let's just make a new structure node, and then let's select the clothing item assets. For clothing item 1 we are going to select the outfit 1 hat, and then for item 2 we are going to select the shirt. Similarly for item 3 we are going to select the pants, and this should be it for the single outfit to work with. Now what else do we need to do? Something else, let me see. Okay, we also need to call this function from the begin play event. So event begin play, and then call this function, compile the code. I guess it should work. Let's test it. Press the E key, apply outfit 1. Alright, it's working. Now you can also see that because we have applied the master pose component for the individual clothing item skeletal meshes, the clothing items are also being animated along with the characters, so it's pretty cool, ain't it, right? Now in this similar way you can create more outfits and more clothing items. You can also create functions to apply these clothing items individually, although I just wanted to show you how you can create a system in which you will be able to apply the complete set of clothing items onto the character. And yep, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Now if you want to apply more outfits or more clothing items, all you need to do is you need to export a different set of clothing items from Dash Studio. Use Visual Studio to save them separately, and then import them into Unreal Engine. And then in the where it is in the level blueprint, you need to add the outfit as another item into the dictionary along with the value of the structure, which will have the information about the clothing assets to be applied to the clothing skeleton meshes, which we added to the characters blueprint. And yep, I hope that you will be able to understand all of the things which I have done here. And if you still have any question, then you can reach out to me by using the comments area, and I will be sure to reply to all of your questions. And till we meet in the next part of this video, have a great day.